You prayed. You prayed at dawn, you prayed in the bath, you prayed in traffic, you prayed on your knees on the bedroom floor with the door locked, and until now, nothing. Silence. You begin to wonder if God is truly listening. If that financial situation, that illness, that destroyed relationship, that door that does not open at all, if all of this will simply stay like this forever. And I need to tell you something now, before you close this video. The answer you wait for so much is not late. It is being prepared. And the time 1515 that appeared in your life was not a coincidence. This video reached you at exactly this moment because there is a spiritual and even scientific mechanism behind what is about to happen in your life. Stay with me until the end, because what I am going to reveal to you here completely changes the way you understand prayer, faith, and divine response. And before continuing, answer me one thing in the comments. What was the last prayer you made that seems not to have been answered? Write it down there. It can be just one word. It can be health, job, family, peace. Write it, because this act of recording is already part of the process that I am going to explain to you. Let us begin with what no one tells you about prayer. There is a very widespread idea in Brazil that praying is like placing an order at a snack bar counter. You make the request, wait a few minutes, and receive it. If you do not receive it, either the request was wrong or the attendant ignored you. This is the mentality that destroys the faith of millions of Brazilians every day. Datafolha surveys show that more than 85% of Brazilians claim to believe in the power of prayer. More than 85%. But the vast majority of these people live frustrated, thinking that their prayers fall into a void. And the problem is not the prayer. The problem is that no one taught these people how the real mechanism of the response works. Think with me. You plant a mango seed in the backyard of your house. The next day you go there and there is no mango. The following week, also none. The following month, only a timid sprout. Most people would pull up that sprout and say the seed was bad, that the soil was weak, that it does not work. But those who understand planting know that the mango tree takes years to bear fruit, and that under the earth, where no one sees, the roots are spreading with a silent and implacable force. Your prayer is that seed. And what is happening beneath the surface of your life at this exact moment is much greater than you imagine. Now, why 1515? What does this time have to do with all of this? And here is where things become truly impressive. In the tradition of spiritual numerology, the number 15 carries the meaning of transformation and change. When it appears duplicated, as in 1515, it represents a portal of acceleration, a kind of energetic intensification where that which was being gestated in the spiritual plane begins to manifest in the physical plane. But it is not just mysticism. Neuroscience has something to say about this as well, and it is powerful. Dr. Andrew Newberg, a neuroscientist at Thomas Jefferson University in the United States, spent more than 20 years studying the brains of people in a state of deep prayer. What he discovered is that during intense and focused prayer, the parietal lobe, the region of the brain responsible for the notion of separation between the self and the world, drastically reduces its activity. In simple terms, when you truly pray, with total surrender, your brain literally dissolves the barrier between you and something greater. You are not just talking to yourself. Your brain is reconnecting with a frequency that science still does not know how to fully name, but which people of faith call God, universe, source, creator, energy. And here enters the detail that changes everything. This reconnection is not instantaneous in the material plane. It follows a process, and this process has phases. If you understand these phases, you will never again think that your prayer was not heard. The first phase is what I call the phase of silence. It is when you pray and it seems that nothing happens, absolutely nothing. You wake up the next day and the problem is still there. The account remains in the red. The exam continues to give a bad result. The telephone continues without ringing with that news you expect. This phase is the most painful, and it is exactly the phase where 90% of people give up. They interpret the silence as rejection. But silence is not rejection. Silence is preparation. Imagine that you are in a hospital and need a complex surgery. The surgeon does not run out with the scalpel in the hallway. He studies the case. He assembles the team. He prepares the surgical center. He sterilizes every instrument. It may take hours, it may take days. And during all this time, the patient stays there waiting, anxious, thinking that no one cares. But the truth is the opposite. The greater the preparation, the greater the care with the result. I talk to people every day who are in this phase, people who wake up at dawn with a tight heart, people who cry in the shower so the family does not hear, people who put a smile on their face at work, but inside are screaming for an answer. And what I say to each of these people is always the same thing. The silence of God is not the absence of God. There is a brutal difference between the two things. Absence means that no one is there. Silence means that someone is there, but is working on something too big to be rushed. Think of that mother who is in the kitchen preparing a surprise party for her son. The son arrives and asks what there is to eat. The mother says nothing for now. The son thinks the mother forgot him, but in truth she is assembling a 3-story cake behind the closed door. The silence was part of the surprise, and you, at this moment, may be living exactly that. If you are in the phase of silence now, breathe deeply, because the second phase is closer than you think. The second phase is the phase of signs, and it is here that the time 1515 enters concretely into your life. In this phase, the universe, God, the creative intelligence, whatever you call it, begins to send subtle confirmations. You look at the clock and it is 15:15. You open a book to a random page and read exactly what you needed to hear. Someone you have not seen in years sends a message out of nowhere with words that seem like a direct response to your prayer. You dream of something that seems absurdly real. A song plays on the radio, and the lyrics describe exactly what you are experiencing. This is not madness. This is not confirmation bias, as some skeptics like to say. This is what the psychologist Carl Jung called synchronicity, meaningful events that have no causal relationship to each other, but which carry a profound meaning for those who experience them. Jung dedicated decades of his life to the study of this phenomenon and concluded that synchronicity is evidence that there exists an underlying order to the universe that transcends linear logic. And if you reach this video and the time 1515 has been appearing in your life, you are not imagining things. You are in the second phase. The answer is approaching. I need to tell you something that happened to a woman from Recife in Pernambuco. Dona Maria, 53 years old, a retired teacher. She had a son involved with drugs, and for 4 years she prayed for his recovery. 4 years, every day, without fail. And for a long time, nothing. Silence. The son's situation only worsened, until one day she began to see the number 15 in everything. In the change at the market, 15 cents. On the license plate of the car that parked in front of her house, it ended in 15. She looked at the clock and it was 15:15. At first she ignored it, but after weeks she began to pay attention. She began to give thanks every time the number appeared. And do you know what happened 3 months later? Her son sought a rehabilitation clinic on his own. No one asked, no one forced him. He simply woke up one day and said he needed help. Today, it has been 2 years since he has been sober. Dona Maria tells this story to anyone who wants to hear, and always repeats the same phrase. When I stopped doubting and started thanking the signs, everything changed. But pay attention. This phase demands something from you. It demands that you stop ignoring the signs. Many people receive the confirmation and discard it. They look at the clock, see 15:15, and think it is nonsense. They receive that unexpected message and give it no importance. They have the revealing dream and forget it at breakfast time. The second phase demands attention, presence, and, above all, gratitude. When you recognize the sign and give thanks, you are telling the universe that you are ready to receive. You are amplifying the frequency of reception. If this content is making sense to you, take the opportunity and leave your like now. This simple gesture helps this video reach more people who also need to hear this message. And subscribe to the channel if you are not yet subscribed, because every week there is content like this, made to strengthen your journey. Now comes the third phase, and this is the one that surprises people the most. I call it the phase of turbulence. Before the response manifests completely, there is almost always an intensification of the problem. It is as if everything suddenly gets worse. The financial situation tightens more. The relationship enters a deeper crisis. Health gives a bigger scare, and the person enters despair, thinking that the prayer not only did not work, but made everything worse. But this has an explanation. Think of when you do a heavy cleaning in your house. Before everything is clean and organized, what happens? The mess increases. You take everything out of its place, accumulate trash, raise dust, knock things over. Whoever looks from the outside thinks the house is worse than before, but the one who is doing the cleaning knows that this is part of the process. The turbulence that precedes the response to prayer is a spiritual cleaning. It is life reorganizing the pieces so that the response fits in the space that is being opened. Sometimes the job you wanted so much does not come because there is a better job being prepared, and for it to arrive, the old scenario needs to be dismantled. Sometimes the relationship enters a crisis because healing requires that old wounds come to the surface to be truly treated, not just hidden under the rug. Neuroscience confirms this from another angle. The human brain possesses a system called the default mode network, which is activated when we are at rest or in deep reflection. Studies from Harvard University show that this network is responsible for processing emotional experiences and integrating them into our life narrative. When we go through turbulence, this network works at an accelerated pace, reorganizing our memories, our beliefs, and our expectations. In practical terms, your brain is literally rebuilding itself to be capable of receiving and sustaining the response you asked for. Have you heard of that farmer from the interior of Minas who lost everything in a flood? House, plantation, cattle, everything. He prayed for months. His wife says that he cried every day, asking for a new beginning. In the following 6 months, the situation only worsened. Debts, shaken health, contempt from the community. And then, almost a year later, something happened that no one expected. A government reconstruction program chose precisely his region for a pilot project. He received better lands, subsidized financing, and technical assistance. Today, his property produces 3 times more than it produced before the flood. When they ask him when God answered the prayer, he says with eyes full of water, "God answered on the day I prayed. It was I who took time to perceive it." This story illustrates something I need to engrave in your mind. The answer is not late. It is your perception that has not yet reached the answer. Now let us go to the 4th and final phase, the phase of manifestation. This is the phase where everything fits together, and it has a very specific characteristic that I want you to memorize. The manifestation almost never comes the way you imagined. It comes the way you needed. You prayed asking for a specific job, and what came was a completely different opportunity, but one that pays more and gives you more quality of life. You prayed asking for the cure of a disease, and what came was a doctor no one knew, with a treatment you never heard of, and it worked. You prayed asking for the restoration of a marriage, and what came was the clarity that that marriage needed to end, so that both you and the other person could be truly happy. Manifestation is sovereign. It does not obey your script. It obeys what is best for you, even when you cannot see it. And the time 1515 appearing in your life repeatedly is a sign that you are in the transition between the 3rd and 4th phase. The turbulence is subsiding. The reorganization is almost complete. The answer is on the way. I want you to think about something. How many times in your life has something that seemed terrible transformed into the greatest blessing you ever received? That job you lost and cried over for weeks, and then a 10 times better opportunity came. That dating relationship that ended, and you thought you would never be happy again, and then the right person appeared. That city you had to leave behind, and in the new city you found your true vocation. If you look back, you will realize that your story is full of proof that what seemed like a delay was redirection. What seemed like abandonment was protection. What seemed like an end was, in truth, a beginning. There is a popular proverb in the Brazilian Northeast that says, "God does not give wings to a snake." It seems simple, but it carries the wisdom of generations. It means that nothing happens outside of a greater order, that there is an intelligence behind every event, even those that seem chaotic and meaningless. This intelligence knows you better than you know yourself. It knows what your strengths are, your weaknesses, your fears, and your potentials that even you have not discovered yet. And it is this intelligence that is conducting the response to your prayer through a path that perhaps you do not understand now, but you will understand. Believe it, you will understand. But I need to be very honest with you about something that can determine whether you will receive this response or block it. There is a silent saboteur that destroys the manifestation of millions of prayers every day, and this saboteur has a name: haste mixed with doubt. Haste says that if it has not happened yet, it is because it will not happen. Doubt says that perhaps you do not deserve it, and together they create a poison that contaminates the frequency of your faith. Research on expectation and outcome, conducted by Columbia University, demonstrates that a patient's belief in the efficacy of a treatment can directly influence the physiological outcome. It is the placebo effect taken to the extreme. If your body responds to the belief in healing, what do you think happens when your soul responds to the belief in the response to a prayer? Every time you doubt, you decrease the frequency of reception. Every time you reaffirm faith, even when everything around screams the opposite, you amplify that frequency. It is like a radio. The station is transmitting 24 hours a day. If you are not listening, it is not because the station stopped. It is because you went out of tune. And do you know what is curious? In Brazil, we live in a culture that stimulates doubt all the time. Turn on the television, bad news, open social media, comparison, envy, frustration. Talk to someone at work, complaining. You are bombarded daily by frequencies that pull your faith down. It is as if you were trying to hear a soft melody in a stadium crowded with people screaming. The melody is there, but the noise is so great that you cannot hear it. Therefore, protecting your faith is an act of spiritual survival. It is not naivety. It is not alienation. It is intelligence. It is strategy. It is the conscious decision to preserve the internal environment that allows the manifestation to happen. There are people who will laugh at you for believing. They will call it illusion, fanaticism, lack of critical sense. Let them. The same science that these people respect so much is proving, study after study, that faith transforms biology, that intention alters matter, that consciousness interferes with reality. The quantum physicist Max Planck, Nobel laureate, said that consciousness is fundamental and matter is derived from consciousness. It is not an internet guru speaking. It is the father of quantum theory. So when someone mocks your faith, smile inside. You know something that person has not yet discovered. And how to return to the tuning. I will give you 3 concrete practices now. 3 things you can do starting today to accelerate the manifestation of that prayer that is in your heart. First practice, prayer of declaration, not of supplication. Most people pray asking, I ask you, Lord, please God, help me, Father. These prayers are born from fear, and fear is the opposite frequency of faith. Instead of asking, declare. Instead of saying, give me a job, say, I declare that the provision is already walking toward me. Instead of saying, heal this disease, say, I declare that health is being restored in my body now. Declaration positions you as someone who has already received, not as someone who is begging. This completely changes the energetic dynamic of the prayer. Second practice, the record of anticipatory gratitude. Buy a simple notebook. It can be one of those for 2 Rs from the neighborhood stationery store. Every day, in the morning or at night, write 3 things for which you are grateful as if they had already happened. I am grateful for the new job that brought me financial peace. I am grateful for the restored health that allows me to play with my grandchildren. I am grateful for the reconciliation that brought harmony back to my family. This is not superficial positive thinking. This is neuro-linguistic programming combined with practical faith. When you write something on paper, your brain processes it with much more intensity than when you just think it. Writing activates the prefrontal cortex, which is the region responsible for planning and intention. You are literally instructing your brain to actively seek the opportunities that confirm what you declared. Third practice, the anchor of 15:15. Starting today, every time you look at the clock and it is 15:15, stop what you are doing for 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. Close your eyes, place your hand on your chest, and say internally, I trust. The answer is on the way. I am ready to receive. This 30-second ritual creates what psychologists call an emotional anchor. You are associating a visual stimulus, the time on the clock, with an internal state of faith and confidence. Over time, this state becomes automatic. You do not need to struggle to believe. Belief becomes part of who you are. Now, I know that perhaps you are thinking like this. Okay, but what if I do all this and even then the answer does not come? That is a fair question, and the answer is equally fair. When the answer does not come in the form you expect, it does not mean it did not come. It means it came in a form that you have not yet recognized. Sometimes the greatest blessing of your life is a no that delivers you from a disaster you could not foresee. Sometimes the door that does not open is the protection against a path that would destroy you. A study published in the Psychology Journal of the University of São Paulo analyzed more than 300 people who went through great frustrations in life, situations in which they believed that nothing had worked out. 5 years later, more than 70% of these people reported that the initial frustration was fundamental for something much better to happen in their lives. 70%. Most people who today suffer thinking they were abandoned will be, in a few years, giving thanks for the wait. I know that waiting hurts. I know that silence wounds. I know that waking up every day with the same anguish is heavy. But I need you to hear this with all your heart. You have not been forgotten. You have not been rejected. You are not alone. The fact that you are watching this video is proof that something is moving in your favor at this very instant. The time 15:15 is the reminder. It is the tap on the shoulder saying continue, do not stop. The answer is coming. I want to end this video with a request. Write in the comments the word I receive. Like that, in capital letters. I receive. This act of writing is not superstition. It is intention made visible. It is your faith leaving thought and materializing into action. And when you write, know that every person who reads that comment will add energy to that declaration. Let us create a chain of faith that goes beyond the cell phone screen and reaches dimensions that we do not yet have the vocabulary to describe. If this video touched your heart, share it with someone who is going through a difficult phase. Sometimes the person next to you is praying in silence and only needs someone to say, "The answer is on the way." Be that person. Activate the notification bell so as not to miss the next video, because next week I will reveal something even deeper about how the response to prayers made at dawn works, that time when you wake up for no reason, usually between 3 and 4 in the morning. What happens at that time is impressive and few people know. I will see you in the next video. And remember, 15:15 is not a coincidence, it is confirmation. Your prayer was heard, the answer is on the way, and you will look back and understand that every second of waiting was worth it. I will tell you one last thing. This video could have appeared at any moment. It could have gone unnoticed in the middle of thousands of other videos, but it did not. You clicked, you stayed, you reached this point. And that tells me something very important about you. You are not someone who gave up. You are someone who is tired but remains standing. Someone who was hurt by life but still believes. Someone who cried yesterday and even so woke up today willing to try again. This is not weakness. This is the greatest demonstration of strength that exists. And heaven recognizes this type of courage. The same courage that brought you to this video is the courage that will sustain you until the day the answer arrives. And when it arrives, and it will arrive, you will remember this moment. You will remember that you almost gave up, but you did not give up, and you will smile. Because you will understand that the wait was part of the miracle. Go with faith, and go with the certainty that the best is yet to come.